scenes. If you need me, just call out for me. I'll be monitoring chat as well as Q&A. So good luck, everyone.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm going to kick things off and get started. So I'm just going to do a little intro before handing it over to all my fabulous guests here. So let me just share my screen. Share my window. Switch. Don't want that. Okay. Can you see my slides? Can someone say?
Got them.
You can or you cannot?
We can.
Fabulous. Okay, great. So yeah, thank you so much for joining everyone to this Manage Your Mule session, the latest management enhancements to the MuleSoft Platform Services. Just a quick intro on me. So my name's Aston Whiteling. I'm the Platform Services Product Marketing Manager. I always like to describe myself as a sales engineer or recovering sales engineer turned product marketing manager. And I have a specialization in video. We've had some launches recently. You might have seen them, heard my accent. My English accent is one of my only marketable skills. But yeah, I'm covering the Anypoint Platform Services. And before I get in and hand over to our PMs and our guests today, I'd just like to go into what the platform services actually are. So just to kind of set the scene and frame your reference. So broadly speaking, we think about the platform services in kind of three different pillars. We have the deploy pillar. So this is about the Mule runtime and the deployment options we have available. That's CloudHub 2.0, RTF, and hybrid standalone. So that's one pillar. Then we have the monitoring capabilities. So everything bucketed within kind of Anypoint monitoring. That's the analytics, that you see the health and status of your Anypoint instance, but also things like integrations, or integrating to your wider observability stack. Recently, we launched distributed tracing and kind of open telemetry as well. That was all very exciting. And then finally, we have the management pillar. This is, I guess, I bucket this as like configuration tools, things like horizontal auto-scaling, Anypoint MQ, our messaging service, Anypoint Exchange, usage and billing, things of that nature. And we're running, this is kind of a series. We're running one of these community sessions for each of these three pillars. Isabella, now's the moment. So the next one is deploy. That's our next one. We've got a meetup link. So if you'd like to RSVP, Isabella is going to be sending that link in the chat right now. We're not here to talk about deploy. No, today we're going to be talking about the management pillar. And the reason I highlighted those 4 areas within the Anypoint product is because those are the topics we're talking about today. So that's enough from me, kind of. I'd like to just introduce, I'm very privileged to introduce my speakers today. So I'm joined by Ritisha, Prakash, Ria, and Jim. They're all product managers for the platform services covering these upcoming and recent feature launches. So they're going to be each spending a little bit of time going through their respective features. I'm really thankful to have them here today. They're all experts in their field, so it should be a great session. You can ask questions during their sessions, and we'll try to get to them in the chat. But we are going to have a Q&A at the end of the session with all 4 of them, so you can save it if you want a live answer then as well. But yeah, that's enough here. You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from our 4 experts, and we're going to kick things off. I'm going to hand it over to Ritisha, and Ritisha is going to be talking about horizontal auto-scaling in CloudHub 2.0. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. How do I stop sharing? There we go. And I'm going to hand it over to Ritisha.
Awesome. Thanks, Aston. Let me quickly, can everyone see my screen?
We can indeed.
Awesome. Okay, let me get started. Hey, everyone. It's really great to have you all here. I'm Ritisha Padmanabh. I'm a product manager on the platform services team here at MuleSoft. I manage Runtime Manager and CloudHub 2.0. I'll be walking you through an exciting new feature we've recently launched in CloudHub 2.0 for our new pricing and packaging customers, which is CPU-based horizontal pod auto-scaling. As a quick perk, I'll also give a quick glimpse to some of the other innovations that have been recently added into CloudHub 2.0. A quick refresher, right, to start off. The Anypoint platform enables flexible deployment models for our customers. So we have a fully managed set of cloud offerings as well as hybrid on-prem offerings. We always recommend our modern deployment platform, CloudHub 2.0, as the go-to fully managed cloud offering. CloudHub 2.0 is not just a simple iteration of our legacy CloudHub 1.0, but it is a fundamental complete reimagination of the platform experience, re-architected using modern container-based unified platform that is just fundamentally built to be highly scalable, reliable, secure, and future-proof. On CloudHub 2, customers get a true SaaS experience with the lowest operational overhead, while also benefiting from enhanced scalability, advanced security, networking, and monitoring features, in addition to native AWS authentication support. And then for our customers that need added flexibility and more granular controls, of course, we recommend the Runtime Fabric offering, which brings container application runtimes into your choice of hybrid cloud. What is important to note is both CloudHub 2 and Runtime Fabric leverage a unified, modern, microservice-based runtime platform. And a natural consequence of that is a consistent user experience. So today I'll be talking about horizontal pod autoscaling, which is a feature that's recently released on CloudHub 2.0, but given the unified runtime platform, it's also something that we're planning to launch in Runtime Fabric very soon. So with that, let's move into what is it that we're actually launching, right? What have we launched in CloudHub 2.0? We have launched CPU-based horizontal pod autoscaling. It's a new capability for our customers that are using the new pricing and packaging model, which is our usage-based pricing model. What is horizontal pod autoscaling? When horizontal pod autoscaling, or HPA for short, is enabled for a Mule application, it essentially leverages the native Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler to dynamically deploy more or fewer application replicas in response to monitored CPU utilization signals of the application. Now, let's talk about what are some of the benefits, right, of HPA. HPA unlocks the value of the new usage-based pricing model for our customers by transforming the platform to be optimized for this pricing and packaging. Let's talk about how, right? Like, what are some of the benefits? Firstly, it lowers disruptions and enables operational ease in comparison to manual scaling. So today we've heard from a lot of our customers that they actively monitor traffic patterns and then redeploy their applications when they predict surges in demand. And this can be both error prone as well as slow, right? So HPA instead enables low latency automated scaling within a matter of a few minutes. And it happens directly in the runtime plane without requiring any redeployment, right, from the control plane, or no further customer interaction required. So it eliminates the disruption, the operational burden, and the slow responsiveness that customers often experience with manual scaling. Secondly, it offers greater flexibility in CloudHub 2.0, so customers can leverage HPA to benefit from demand-based scaling without being constrained by the product CPU or memory infrastructure limits that are tied when you do upfront over-provisioning. So customers can just configure a minimum and a maximum replica range for each application so that they always have sufficient availability with the minimum replicas, while also retaining control over the peak Anypoint flow usage with the max threshold that's configured per application. And finally, customers also get usage or cost efficiency, right? So they can benefit from more efficient and optimized Anypoint flow usage during the steady state, right? Rather than pre-allocating for your peak capacity at all times. So that implies if applications are scaling at different times, in general, steady state usage will be a lot more optimized. Now, let me quickly talk through how the feature actually works. What does it look like, right? So this is an opt-in feature when you deploy a new application into CloudHub 2.0. So when you deploy the application, you can choose to enable HPA if your application scales based on CPU. You can then choose from among micro memory intensive, or small replica sizes. These are the replica sizes for which the feature is optimized, depending on whether you have integration starter or advanced. Thereafter, you can specify a replica range, right, where the minimum replicas are the replicas that are always running. If you want to ensure high availability, you can have more than one replica. And then the maximum is the upper bound beyond which you don't want your application to scale. So that way you can control the max threshold of flow usage. Finally, MuleSoft provides an optimized HPA policy out of the box, so you don't have to worry about configuring the HPA policy for each single application. And the HPA policy has been tested and benchmarked for these replica sizes for a variety of applications. So when the CPU utilization across all of the replicas of an application exceeds a threshold, we've configured it to be 70%, the application starts scaling dynamically. The policy essentially checks every 3 minutes, and as soon as the HPA controller detects that an app needs to scale up to 100% of the currently running replicas may get added. It's highly performant. We've noticed that we can scale from 1 to 8 replicas within a matter of 10 to 12 minutes, which each additional replica taking just under 2 minutes to scale. Additionally, when the application is scaling down, the HPA controller monitors signals for the past 30 minutes, right? So that we stabilize and we avoid flicker where we scale up and down. Essentially, it also drains any of the existing traffic that a replica is handling so that there is low disruption. In addition to that, when the application is scaling up, the Runtime Manager UI shows you that a scale up is occurring. And for a retrospective look back at when scale up and scale down events occurred, we also publish audit logs with the information on what it scaled up to or what it scaled down from, right? Just some performance considerations. Not all applications scale horizontally. Not all applications scale based on CPU utilization. So we recommend our customers to test their applications and use cases before enabling the feature, right? It's an opt-in feature because if you enable it for an application that does not really benefit from CPU-based scaling, then it can unnecessarily result in additional usage, which your application doesn't benefit from. So these are some of the use cases that we've tested with CPU-based HPA. So for example, low latency, high throughput apps, data weave transformations, HTTP apps with async requests. These are some of the use cases that work very well with CPU-based HPA. But for example, batch jobs, potentially low throughput, high latency apps with large request sizes. These better scale vertically, or they don't scale well based on CPU utilization. Probably they need other signals. So these are the apps that we don't recommend turning on the feature for. Finally, like I mentioned, horizontal autoscaling is definitely the newest innovation in CloudHub 2.0, but there have been quite a few other recent innovations that I want to give you all a quick glimpse into. Firstly, we added non-HTTP inbound traffic support. So customers can now configure inbound firewall rules to enable your HL7 applications to directly receive MLLP traffic through TCP ports. And all of the administration happens within CloudHub 2.0 itself, so no separate AWS console management or manual syncing. We have also added support for domain-based egress controls, so our customers that have strict compliance needs to limit your egress traffic can now configure egress controls on a per application granular level. You still retain central configuration at the private space level, and then the developers can pick from a set of rule groups that are created at the private space. So you get granular controls and a central configuration. In addition to that, some advanced monitoring features have been launched. We've added support for API functional monitoring, and my colleague will be talking about our hotel-based telemetry exporter and distributed tracing support that's been launched for CloudHub 2.0. And finally, we've also launched opt-in early infra upgrades. So our customers that are sensitive to when your applications or infra are patched, similar to when app patching occurs at a set cadence, infra patching occurs at the same cadence and in the same week in every month to minimize downtime. But customers can also choose to upgrade their infrastructure earlier if you want to have more control over, when you see some downtime. So with that, I'll hand it over to Prakash to talk about some of our exciting monitoring capabilities that we've launched.
Prakash is actually talking about Anypoint MQ, the automated failover, but we will be having our own. I posted it in the chat. We will be having Monitor Your Mule, its own session covering those monitoring features. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, take it away, Prakash.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's an exciting thing. We did some exciting features we launched last week. So we'll come back and share with you all those things. So today I want to focus on the Anypoint MQ surveys, one of the exciting features that we launched about a month ago. Just a quick introduction. My name is Prakash Aradhya. I lead product management for like some of our runtime services, like our managed messaging service as well as managed caching service, and then we have the Anypoint monitoring. So let me walk you through. I mean, I'm sure most of you are familiar with what MQ is. I mean, it's a messaging broker. It's a pretty standard. It's been there for a few decades before even I was born, I suppose. Many of you are born. So what is Anypoint MQ? So Anypoint MQ is our version of messaging service. It's a cloud-based messaging service. It's multi-tenant. It's very, very different from the on-prem MQ service that you probably used. And it also provides like a very turnkey and out-of-the-box, ready-to-use, a highly reliable and a highly secured messaging service. It's scalable. I mean, everything that you expect in a cloud-based messaging service. So we provide you all of those things and fully integrated with Anypoint platform. You don't need to figure out like, where do I get the connector? How do I configure it? So you just drop it in and start, configure it and start sending messages to the queues or the topics that you're going to subscribe to. It's also available in many regions. So we currently have this availability in 11 regions across the globe. That is what makes it exciting. And a lot of our customers build a very compelling business critical solutions, like some of the airlines, ticketing systems, or the order processing. They extensively rely on our messaging service for their day-to-day business operations. Some of the cases, like where you would use our MQ could be used if you have two applications running on the CloudHub for them to interconnect, communicate asynchronously. You can use MQ, or if you have an application running on-prem and one in cloud, you can use MQ for integration. Or like if you're connected with a bunch of things, the Internet of Things you want to coordinate with, you could use the MQ there, and also some of the other integration solutions that you can think about. A lot of different use cases, and I'm sure you're familiar. So I'm going to skip through those details. So now let's talk about what is cross-region failover. I mean, a failover, like as you can imagine, like if you are running a business, if you are running an operation, and if you are using a messaging queue or a topic to kind of integrate multiple applications, what happens if your one of the region goes down? Recently we had an incident like about a year ago. The whole AWS East region went down. A lot of our services are running on AWS East, and our customers' applications are deployed in multiple regions. And they, if they have deployed in a messaging solution, and if they are relying on a messaging service on AWS East, on the East, US East. So the service is out of it's not available anymore. So now you need to figure out what to do, or your whole solution is going to go down. Or maybe it could be something to do with an application, or something that is you're running inside it, not necessarily the whole region. Maybe the MQ service, the instance that is running on the US East may go down. In situations like this, many of our customers want to have some kind of a resiliency. They want to be able to quickly transition over to a healthy region where they can continue to go through their operations. That is why it is important for many of our customers to have some kind of a failover. Many customers build their own solution. They think about a DR solution, HA solution. They're not easy. They're complex, and you need a lot of expertise in-house to build such solutions and go into production, right? So, and many of our customers kept asking us, "Hey, can you help us out here? Can you give us something out of the box so that we can rely on you? So we can lean on you to kind of deliver us the failover." Not only just the failover, an automated failover. What is automated failover? When a region goes down, we recognize an MQ instance in that region is down, and we automatically transition you over to a pre-configured backup region. So that is an automated failover. Once the backup the primary region comes back up, so we have the ownership to kind of transition you back to the primary region from the backup region. So all that is done automated in an automated fashion. You don't need to worry about setting up the environment, setting up the configuration, any of those things. I'll show you how easy it is to kind of do that using our Anypoint MQ. So that is the purpose of automated failover. And today, when we launched this last month, we support these things for out of the box for standard queues, which does not require the guaranteed queuing, like not FIFO. So those are the things that we support, and we in the future we'll be extending this support for the FIFO queues as well as exchange like topics, pub sub scenarios and other stuff. So let's look at how this implementation works behind the screen. Let's say in a typical world you have a messaging producer, and then you have set up a queue. What you see on the left side is a standard process that what we've been following all along. There's a message consumer, there's a message producer, everything is going smooth, great. And let's say the Anypoint MQ in the Q1 goes down. What happens? Nothing. It breaks. Like the communication between the producer and consumer fails. Think about a situation where you're building a solution like an order processing solution. So all the orders are coming through like a retail. If you are a retail vendor, so you're processing all the online orders that are coming through. So usually you don't process those orders immediately, right? You kind of queue them up in a stack, and then you pick up in an orderly fashion, and then you go and process those things as they come through. And now with the system down, suddenly customers who are sending those orders are interrupted. They cannot send the orders anymore, and the whole system is broken down, and it creates a lot of inefficiency and discomfort for your customer base. So now with this failover, what we do is we create Q2. Like on the right side, what you see, Q2 is the primary queue, and when you go into the Anypoint MQ and you say, okay, I want to have a backup queue for this. I want to support for a failover. So what we do is we create in out of the box a backup queue for you in a different region. Let's say, for instance, if you have the queue set up in the US East, and we will create another queue in US West or US Central, or it could be in the EU. Wherever it's a logical point that makes sense of geographically, we set up a backup queue in that region. And now imagine when a situation your orders are coming through and the producer sending the orders always to the primary queue, and when the client recognizes Q2 is down, the client is already configured to know what the backup queue for that the particular queue is. And if the MQ client, when it recognizes, okay, there is this queue is down, and it automatically sends those new messages to the Q2 fallback. So now that your customers, your vendor, who are sending the messages for your orders, they're not disappointed. All those orders are coming through the new channel, and you can continue to process all those new orders without disrupting your business operations. So that's how it works. How do you set this up? It's pretty simple. You go to the Anypoint MQ. When you want to set up a new queue, you go through a standard configuration, what you provide, like the queue name and some of the encryption and all of those details. There's one button that you see at the bottom, enable cross-region failover. That's all you need to do. You just click on that, and you see on the bottom, you see the failover region. Today, we automatically select the failover region for you based on the some of the rules that we have built in. In future, some customers do like to have the option. They want to, for whatever latency or some other considerations, they may want to create a different region. So in future, we will provide that ability to configure that backup region. But today, we'll automatically select that for you. The moment you select that enable cross-region failover, and then when we set up the queue, we go to the back end, we set up the new queue, a very similar queue with the same configuration in the backup region that we selected. When you look at the queue configuration, you can see at the bottom what is that backup queue name is, and you're going to see what the region that is it's selected. All those things are set up for you. Only thing that you're doing is just clicking on that one button that says enable queue. That's great. So now what about all the existing queues that you may already have in your system? Simple. Now, before this, we launched this feature. If you already had a bunch of queues, you could go to one of those queues, and then you can see that option to enable fallback, select that option, and then you save those changes. It's automatically taken care of here. So what do you need to do, when you take advanced feature? So a few things you need to consider, plan ahead. Okay, identify all the APIs and integration that you want to use. That are normal queues and FIFO, and set that up and figure out which of those queues that you really want to take advantage of the the automated failover. And then you go to if you need to upgrade the AnyPoint MQ connector API, because some of these things, when you use these APIs have gone through some changes, because now API needs to recognize the way to find if the region is down or not. So those things are in the new APIs. Upgrade those APIs and configure those queues, do the testing, and just release into production. That's all you need to do. It's pretty simple process. All these things, the burden is taken out of you and provide you out-of-the-box solution for you. So that's about it. Thank you very much, and I'm going to transition to the next speaker.
I think that's Ria. So you're up, Ria, talking about Anypoint Exchange. Live from London, I believe, as well, right, Ria?
Yes, all the way from London. Perfect. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Cool. So my name is Ria. I'm the product manager for Anypoint Exchange, and I'm excited to share more details about the product and then walk through a few exciting releases and upcoming feature announcements. So we can begin with a quick overview of what Exchange is. So essentially, it's a marketplace for digital assets that integrates into your flow of work and helps you discover, produce, and consume reusable APIs to accelerate your developer journey. Exchange supports over 25 types of reusable assets, including various forms of APIs such as REST, GraphQL, and async, as well as automation resources, including RPA assets, as well as integration resources such as connectors, examples, and templates. Exchange sits at the center of the Anypoint platform and complements other capabilities within the MuleSoft ecosystem by providing a centralized hub for discovering, sharing, and reusing assets seamlessly. It also integrates with our IDEs such as Code Builder and API Studio, Anypoint Studio for development, as well as the design time products such as Design Center and the runtime management services for deployment. So you really can interact with Exchange through your end-to-end flow through Anypoint platform. To break it down a little bit further, Anypoint Exchange's key capabilities can be grouped in categories. So first on the left here, we have asset production. You can publish assets via various sources to Anypoint Exchange. Most commonly, this is done through like the Maven facade or the Exchange API, and it can also be done through the Exchange UI itself. Once published, you can enhance the quality of the assets by adding metadata, including documentation, tags, categories, and custom fields, as well as manage the lifecycle state and govern the assets through the conformance status feature. Next, we have asset consumption capabilities. So the consumption journey begins at the search and discovery phase. When you're logged into Anypoint Exchange, you can intuitively search for assets in the catalog through the home page by just browsing the provided assets, or you can apply different filters or enter specific search queries. And from there, you can navigate to the API portal page and test it using the mocking service, or download and share it with other users in your organization. You can also import assets from Exchange in Studio, API Designer, or Anypoint Code Builder, which further accelerates the dev journey. And finally, we have platform capabilities, and these are capabilities for internal MuleSoft users, but they provide value to developers by, one, enabling the support of a diverse set of asset types, and two, providing coherent and consistent UI experiences across the entire platform. Based on those core capabilities, here you can see the persona mapping. So on the production side, we have a developer who is publishing assets and creating reusable building blocks for other teams, as well as an admin who is really involved in the management, housekeeping, and quality maintenance of assets in their organization. And on the consumption side, we again have a developer persona who is really focused on the consumption of assets from downloading or testing and then using them in his or her workflows, and a marketplace admin whose main goal is to identify top engage with assets and promote best practices and reuse within the organization. A key component of Exchange's core proposition is actually driving efficiency through reuse. So reusable pre-built assets really help jumpstart that integration journey for developers. And this is a core differentiating factor of the platform. Exchange promotes reuse by providing hundreds of out-of-the-box assets that are provided by MuleSoft itself, and additionally provides collaboration capabilities amongst dev teams by allowing them to share and promote their assets, leading to increased engagement, productivity, and efficiency across the platform. And finally, we have asset usage data, which helps users better understand how their APIs are performing, and as a result, helps close that feedback loop. So we can take a quick look at what was recently released. In February, a new feature reflecting Java 17 compatibility for connectors was launched. When a connector is published to Exchange, it will extract the Java compatibility metadata and store it as a custom property. Exchange then runs a script to populate this property for all existing connectors. Today, when you click on the View Versions button of an API in the portal page, you can view both the Mule runtime versions as well as the compatible Java versions for a given connector version, as you can see in this table on the right. And in November, we released a new custom fields filter to enhance your search and discovery journey. A custom field is actually a key value pair that can be added to an asset version via the Exchange API. And this acts as a unique identifier to help you quickly discover your asset. It's especially useful if you have specific naming facades for your APIs, or you have a catalog with thousands of APIs in it. Assets can also be filtered by the custom fields filter itself to refine a search using that preset information. And that filter appears on this top navigation bar in the home page when assets in your organization contain that custom field metadata value. And another exciting launch was in July of 2020. This feature is the Asset Engagement Metrics feature, and it provides insights into your assets' performance and usage and helps really drive the reusability of those APIs. We're providing out-of-the-box dashboards in Exchange where you can view API usage and engagement scores, and you can access this dashboard if you click on the Asset Engagement tab on the left navigation sidebar of the Exchange homepage. In that dashboard, you can see an overview of the top 50 APIs in your business group and the composite engagement score per API, as well as metrics for various consumption actions. The asset engagement score takes reference from industry best practices of developing engagement scores for SaaS products like online communities, marketplaces, or social networks. And the core drivers behind the Exchange asset engagement score are basically the key engagement asset actions that users make across various points of the platform. So for example, downloads or imports from Studio, imports from Designer, contracts, and request accesses in API Manager. All of those actions are then bundled together to come up with a composite engagement score reflecting overall usage and reusability of that specific API. Today, this data is provided for two asset types, REST APIs and API spec fragments. In addition to that overview dashboard, you can also view that usage data for specific API versions, and that really helps you understand how a specific asset version is contributing to the overall engagement of that API. This is helpful because you can see which versions are key drivers of reuse and might promote best practices in that sense. Upcoming in FY25, in the second quarter, we're launching engagement metrics for 3 new asset types, so connectors, examples, and templates. And this will help drive a deeper understanding of the integration asset reusability. On April 11th, there's another community event, so I'll be diving a little bit deeper into some of the nuances of this feature as well as providing a demo. So looking a little bit forward, we have quite a few exciting releases on the radar. In addition to engagement metrics for connectors, examples, and templates, we are also working on launching recommendations for Exchange users based on the engagement data. This will help drive the business value of engagement metrics by helping you understand what you can do based on the engagement score. So for example, if you have an engagement score of 20%, You can then see which actions will help you boost the engagement score by adding robust documentation or adding an icon for the asset, and that can promote reusability amongst your users in your business group. Next, we're going to be adding a feature to make it possible for client application owners to add additional owners, whether they're individual users or teams, from the My Application page on Exchange. And this will make it easier for the management of client apps in the case that the original owner is unreachable. And finally, today we have reached full feature parity between the two search experiences, the legacy search experience and the enhanced search experience. And by the end of this year, we will work to deprecate the legacy experience. Happy to answer any questions, and I will pass it over to Jim.
I've got some questions for you already, Ria, at the end, but we'll save that for the Q&A. Jim, over to you. You are still muted as well, Jim.
You are on mute is the phrase of the pandemic of the last 4 years. Good morning, everyone. Jim Campbell. I'm a product manager in the platform organization at MuleSoft, and my area of product is an engine that tracks usage data from our various products. Its reason for existence was to support our, the reason that the usage infrastructure came into being was to support our move to usage-based pricing, right? And in the case of runtime Mule apps, we're supporting a change from an infrastructure-based model, which has had its issues, and as far as allowing people to configure capability like they want, as Ratisa talked about earlier, usage-based pricing is much more amenable to things like auto scaling and flexible consumption of resources. So in the case of runtime, we're moving to pricing based on flows and messages for API manager, its number of APIs, so forth, Flex Gateway, number of requests. And so we need a way to track that, to report it to you as customers, to enable contract visibility for it. So in the past, we've had a current state of a fairly limited UX, right? You look once a month, and it doesn't allow you to extract data for any of your own processing. So what we're moving to is to help with these pain points where you can only see the monthly data, you can't monitor daily variations, growth in usage, you might be surprised by a monthly bill, and now you have visibility ahead of time. You can also extract data for your own use in your BI tools, chargeback, etc. And so the features of this release are a daily granularity in the usage report, the ability to do a CSV download and an API access. And let me see if this will work, because I'm actually going to try a demo. Ooh. Okay. So the usage portal lives under your profile name up here. You need to ask your admin for view usage permission in order to be able to see it. And once you're in it, there's a little fresher UX look. You get summary data at the top. And more importantly, now you can pick arbitrary days that you want to see data for. As well, note that daily data is only available starting in February as we shifted to the stack that supports this. So you can now see your flows, messages. We also added the number of workers to your daily visibility. You can also export a CSV to allow you to slice and dice it offline. And then the final piece of the puzzle is that we now have a API that allows you to access this data down to hourly granularity in the products that support that. So you'll be able to have a general purpose query language that lets you slice and dice your data. Either, for instance, you can get a single asset of Mule apps behavior across an entire month by day, or for a given day, you can get the whole suite of applications that you have running. It allows very flexible access to pipe it into your own BI tools of choice for your own dashboard and metrics. Currently, we have beta of this capability, and we're going GA on April 15th. All right. That's it for me, bringing up the end of this event.
Thank you so much, Jim, and thanks to everyone. Unfortunately, Prakash and Ria have had, not Ria, sorry, Ria's here still, but Prakash and Ritisha have had to drop, unfortunately. But they tried to answer all the questions in the Q&A, so I'm hopeful. There was one question for Ritisha that I've written down from Rav, so I will make sure I've slacked her. We might get an answer for that. But luckily, there are questions for both Ria and Jim, who we still have here. So I'll start with you, Jim. We just had one about the usage report. It says, does the usage report also apply to on-premise customers who do not use API Manager?
No, at the moment. We are planning support for on-prem. It's talking about hybrid standalone, I'm assuming.
Yes.
We're planning support for hybrid standalone by the end of fiscal year 25.
Fabulous. And then Ria got a couple for Exchange as well. First one up was, will the filter dropdown in the Exchange web UI allow for filtering by application in the future?
Currently, it does not. It's because applications are a headless asset type right now, but we are evaluating adding an API portal page for applications and covering up a few risks of doing that. And then if that is the case, then you will be able to filter by applications, but nothing is confirmed today.
Thank you for that. We just had a auto-scaling question, which I actually know the answer to, even though Ritisha's not here. So it says, is auto-scaling available only for usage-based pricing customers? I believe the answer is yes. But I will again check that with Ritisha, but yes, I believe so. And then more for Ria on Exchange. Will Exchange and ACM, which is, I believe, Anypoint Community Manager, start to merge in capability? More of a general question.
No, that is not on the plans, but AEH, Anypoint Experience Hub, is something that is kind of like a next iteration product of ACM. So a lot of those features are supported in AEH.
Another one for you, Ria. Will you introduce a group or team ownership of application clients and their credentials in Exchange?
Yeah, so if this is regarding client applications, yes, that is that one feature that I mentioned that is launching the middle of this year, where you can add individual users or team users for owning client applications.
Fabulous. We had another one for you, Jim. How does the usage report get updated on a daily basis? Oh, you're muted again. Sorry, that's 3 times now. My apologies.
So was it the question how it gets updated? Now you're muted, Austin.
What a kerfuffle. Yeah. So how often? Yeah. Sorry. I think the question is just, is it daily? And the answer is, in fact, yes.
In fact, yes. And for certain products like runtime, it's actually hourly. So if you really are curious about your usage of flows, messages, or network bytes, in the case of runtime by hour, you can get to that. Now, that said, there's a 24-hour delay to getting data into usage reporting. We have a buffer because of a variety of managing the infrastructure upstream. We give time for the data to come and be coalesced. So there's always the chance over 24 hours that the data will shift as late arriving data comes, but basically hourly is the granularity that we're striving for.
Great. And we had another question for you on the usage, and it is it possible to fetch unused apps running on the platform using the usage portal or API?
Well, if an app needs to be up and running and reporting data for it to be seen by usage, okay? So if that's the case, you can look for an app, for instance, that has flows, which is a static number based on the application, but has no messages at all. You have a pretty good bet that it's an unused app.
Great. And then there's a question, is there some sort of alerting that can be set up with the API metric analysis? I presume that's to do with the usage stuff.
Yeah, that's on our roadmap for the year, not scheduled, but absolutely high customer ask, very aware that alerting on thresholds is something we want to support you folks with.
Great. And we had one more for Ria, and is there's going to be support for Async API 3.0 in Exchange?
Yes, that is in our plans.
Fabulous. Well, that was rapid fire. I think that's all the questions. I hope that Prakash and Ritisha will manage to answer some. I saw Prakash stole my name, actually, in fact, that we're sharing it. He was answering questions on my behalf, making me look far more informed, which I appreciated. I think that's everything. So yeah, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everyone for attending. Thank you so much to our speakers. I think it's been a really fabulous session. You can reach out to myself or any of us if you have further questions. I'd like to promote again, we've got Ria's session. I'm going to send it one more time in the chat. So you can sign up talking about Exchange. And we're also going to be, as I say, doing one for monitoring. We don't have an RSVP link for that as of yet, but stay tuned. And then, yeah. Oh, how do I see? We had one more question coming. How do I see current usage for the month? You go to your drop down and then you go into the usage dashboard. It should be right there on your Anypoint platform. Sorry, one more question. Wrapping up. Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, have a great day. It's been a great session. Really appreciate your time.